Tools we're going to need for the oil change on your 2021 or above Jeep Grand Cherokee L, which is the 3-row, is going to be a 15/16 open-end socket, a 1/2-inch socket, and a 10mm socket, as well as a new engine oil filter and 5 quarts of 0W20 engine oil. All right, before we get started here, just looking at the owner's manual for a 2021 Jeep Grand Cherokee L. This one does have the 3.6 liter V6, and I just wanted to go through the manual before we start diving in. So as you can see here, we're in the servicing and maintenance section, which is page 322 for this manual. It does talk about engine oil lights coming on when you do need to replace the oil. I never got that. We're at about 7,700 miles, which seems pretty far to me because I'm used to changing oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, but our percentage was still at about 20%. But we got a nice day here in Colorado in the wintertime, so I figured I'd take the day to go ahead and change the oil. So as you can see here, if you do get a light, you should change the oil within 500 miles of getting that light, and under no circumstance should you drive over 10,000 miles without changing the oil. There are some recommended maintenance actions you can take when you're doing your oil change, but the only thing I'm going to do today is refill the windshield wiper fluid, because I've already done a few other things to this vehicle in the short time that we've had it. So I'm not too worried about that, and I'm also going to look at the engine oil or air cleaner as well. So I've already got it bookmarked for myself here, but Jeep does recommend SAE oil, an oil that's rated by the American Petroleum Institute, so it does have that API identification symbol. Regardless of, or depending on the engine you have, where you're located, and what the ambient temperatures are, obviously you can change the viscosity of your oil. Although it's cold here in Colorado, I'm going to be using the W20 oil, and that's what's recommended for this car anyways. So I don't feel the need to change it. It takes 5 quarts of engine oil, and then replacing the filter as well. All right, just going to orientate you guys to the engine bay here. Some engines do have a intake manifold cover. It's that plastic cover that might go over your engine bay itself. Mine does not have that, was not installed with the car when I bought it. So it's one less thing I have to move, but you might have to move it. So just keep that in mind. Moving along, we have our yellow dipstick back there, where you can check your oil. And then the other two important things that we're going to look at today is our engine oil filter cap right here. Very easy to remove. And then it does say SAE 0W20 is recommended. That's what we're going to use today. And last but not least, up here is our engine filter, or oil filter, right back here behind our cold air intake. It does require a 15/16. So I'm going to go ahead and loosen that just a little bit, because it makes it easier to make sure you're draining all the oil out of your engine if you release that top pressure up here, so there's no back pressure in the oil reservoir itself. So again, 15/16 should be pretty easy to get undone. That one just came right out, and I'm not looking to completely remove it. I'm just trying to loosen it just a little bit so I can get some pressure off of it. And then once you loosen it enough, you should just be able to tighten it and untighten it with your hand. All right, so that's pretty much the top part of the engine here. We are going to move on to the bottom undercarriage of the car now. All right, so we're at the front of the car here, kind of moving down underneath. So directly underneath where we were earlier, kind of near where that oil filter cap was. One thing that I forgot to mention while filming the underside of the car is that while you can put the car on jacks and jack stands, you absolutely do not need to. I did the whole engine change without jacking the car up just to show that you could. But by all means, if you have jacks, want to jack it up, maybe you're in a sloped driveway or you have a skylift, you can absolutely lift it up. But if you're just doing a quick at-home engine change, engine oil change, you don't need to jack it up. You'll see if you come underneath the car, sorry for the lack of light, but as you move back, you'll see a door. It'll be up, just a little plastic door. It's kind of blended in with our skirt here, our underside skirt. So you're not required to remove this skirt, which is very nice. One less thing you have to do. You just go straight to that door there, and it'll have a 10 millimeter. I'll put the camera down here. It will have a 10 millimeter nut on it, or screw. Just remove that 10 millimeter, and then this is kind of acts as a hinge. You can leave it on there, or you can just kind of finagle it out, just being gentle with it. I'm going to take mine out so I can get my oil pan under here easy and not have to worry about that being in the way. So again, that door is a 10 millimeter. And then if you look under here, as soon as you remove that door, you will see your oil filter drain plug right here. And that is a 1/2 inch. I have not loosened it at all. Just don't want to risk spilling any oil in my garage. So I'm going to go ahead and time lapse this and drain the oil out of our car. All right, now that we've got our panel back in and our drain plug re-secured, took very quick for that oil to drain out. Got our plug back in, got our door re-secured. Just make sure on that bolt down there, you're not going as hard as you can. Just get it tight, and then one more little small crank to make it snug. But if you really wrench that thing down the next time you try to get it off, you're going to have a heck of a time. All right, now that we're back up to the top part here, we're going to go ahead and remove our oil filter. So get that guy back off. I just gotta leave a rag handy for myself. I know it's gonna make a little bit of a mess. Move some wires out of the way. Come on now. There we go. There's our oil filter. And then you'll see there's a ring, an O-ring, right here. And we're going to actually discard that O-ring. But if you just grab the top, grab the bottom, and pull, that filter will come right out of our cap here. So I'm going to kind of just wrap my old filter up, trying not to get oil all over the engine bay, because it's never fun. Again, I always have rags handy doing this kind of stuff. because you're absolutely going to make a mess. And we can always clean up our engine bay when we get done. Biggest thing is though, if you drip some oil, which I did, make sure you get that because you don't want open oil just hang out in your hot engine bay. And odds are I probably spilled some down here as well. All right, moving on to our new filter here. So this is a Purolator 1, and it's the PL36296. I picked this one up at Advanced Auto Parts here locally. But if you go in there, you can either ask for the Purolator or just ask whatever they have that fits your vehicle. So as I open it, it's going to look exactly like my old one. And it comes with a new O-ring, which we're going to install on our ring cap here. So I'm just going to wipe this one down just a little bit more. That way I don't have oil everywhere. And then you'll see that this ring should come off. Sometimes you just got to get a small flathead screwdriver underneath. All right, back here with our oil filter cap. So as you can see, that ring right there, if you just get a flathead under it and then just kind of pull up with it, super easy to get off. And then we'll go ahead and install our new one. I've had a Jeep in the past before, and they seem to all be like this for these O-rings. And it should just sit back there. It doesn't go all the way to the top. It should just sit right in that groove. But again, does not have to go all the way to the top. We take our new filter, and then that should be down because that's what goes into the engine itself. Take this, and then you'll hear it click together. Pull on it, make sure it's snug. There's no real need to wipe any old oil away or reseal anything with old oil like conventional engine oil filters. So now we got our new filter installed. Go right back into that little hole there. Just getting that started with my hand. And in the meantime, I'm actually going to go ahead and discard my old oil filter. Alright, getting back on here. Going to reseat that. No torque spec on this. Just got it hand started, and I'm just going to crank down until it gets tight. And then go a little bit more. It doesn't have to be super tight. Alright, now that our filter's in, everything's buttoned up, I'm going to remove our cap. So that'll go right there. And again, our filler cap says SAE 0W20. And that's exactly what we have here. So I bought Mobile 1, 0W20, buy whatever, doesn't really matter. This just happened to be on sale and I bought it. So one other page in your owner's manual is page 390, and it's fluid capacities. So if we look here, if we come down to engine oil with filter with 3.6 liter engine, the V6, it takes 5 US quarts of oil. So it's one way to check. You've seen it in mine. Just make sure that you or checking yours prior to changing the oil to make sure that you're doing it correctly and putting in the right amount of oil. You don't want too much and you don't want too less. Get the cap back on. All right, let's use that. All right, sitting in the car here. A lot of LEDs. I don't think the shutter rate's quite picking up. All right, we got that annoying ding, just letting us know the ignition's on. Do have the oil or the engine light. That's just because the ignition's on. You might get a engine oil pressure low immediately once you turn the battery on, but as soon as you actually cycle and start the car, it should go away. All right, so getting rid of that very annoying dinging noise. This is our home page on our car, how we have it set up. But if you kind of scroll through, I'm going to go down until I find my vehicle info. It's tire pressure, so oil is what we're looking for. Turns out it's at 18% and 8,200 miles. Still really good. We got no lights before this. Just took advantage of the good weather to get an oil change in. So I'm going to do exactly as it says, and it just says hold OK to reset. There you go. You're at 100%. Probably a good habit to just drive the car around, let everything get re-lubricated before you do any kind of long drives.